So with the NHL still on hiatus for the Christmas holiday, time for us to take a look at the next best tournament on the center stage right now over the Christmas break, and that is the World Junior Hockey Championship. Let's preview 4 teams and talk some puck. Hey gang, Kosta here for PuckTalk Montreal. This December 26th, 2025. I hope all of you had a great holiday with your families, no matter what you're celebrating, whether it's Hanukkah, Christmas, you name it. After all, it's the most important time of the year for us to be with our families, and I know I personally enjoyed every minute of it with my wife, my 2 daughters, their boyfriends, playing games. We're legitimately playing board games over the Christmas holiday and having a blast while we were doing it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it just as much, if not more. And as we continue to grow the channel, I'm going to ask you, as always, to please leave a like, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the notification bell for the latest and greatest. Now, unlike most episodes, we're not going to talk about Montreal Canadiens here. So if you were expecting that right now in this episode, I apologize. But that's not what we're doing here. What we're doing in this episode is we're going to be talking about the World Junior Hockey Championship. It's a Canadian custom. And before TSN even turned into a global tradition, as it were, because of their coverage year in, year out, back when I was young, the World Junior Hockey Championship was covered by CBC. And it wasn't that great. You got a couple of games and that was it. Now you get everything. Every team, every game, it's incredible, the coverage that comes from TSN. Gotta love it. And of course, you gotta love the fact that perennially Canada is amongst the teams to win the gold medal. But are they poised to do that this season? Personally, I'll let you know at the end of the show, but you're gonna be surprised at what I tell you. But first, let's take a look at the top 4 teams that I thought needed to be assessed here in the tournament, because they're always perennial favorites to win it all. And I'm going to start with Team Finland. Suomi, who, end up being the little sister most of the time, finishing 3rd or 4th in every tournament, occasionally getting silver. But they've got a good squad this year, and they're backstopped by a solid goaltender. So I wanted to take a look at the top 5 things that were good about their World Junior squad this year. And of course, as I just mentioned, elite goaltending anchors this team. Finland comes back with Petteri Rimponen, who is arguably the best junior goaltender in the world right now. He earned best goalie at last year's tournament, posting a 5-2 record and a 2.43 goals against average and a .933 save percentage. So the fact that they're coming back with the same goaltender who still has that same pedigree and is still just as effective as he was last year is absolutely a threat for Finland, and they do play a defensive style of game. So having a solid goaltender does fit in with the way they normally play. They've got leadership and forward skill. You look at Emil Hemming, who's a 1st-round pick of the Dallas Stars. He was named assistant captain of this team, and he's provided some solid scoring and two-way play. Then there is Canadiens prospect Eidos Koivu, who brings a really good talent to the team and power play potential because he's very good with the one-timer. And they've also got WHL standouts Julius Mittinen and Matthias Vahanen, who inject pace, points, and physicality. So a little bit of a different game coming from Finland, as normally Finland is more of a finesse team, but like Sweden, they're trying to adopt more of a North American game for this tournament. Now, Finland, they've got a very well-balanced but not overly flashy defense. And that means you're not going to see a lot of high scoring coming from the defensive side of things. But what they do bring is NHL-level puck-moving ability in Aaron Kivaharu, whose name I probably butchered and I apologize, and other guys on the back end like Vedi Vaisanen and Lassi Boelius. Believe it or not, I actually tried to practice these before the show, and I'm trying my best to get them right, but I know pronunciation of Finnish names is not my strong suit, so I apologize ahead of time. Their group as a whole defensively likes to control play structurally. They may very well lack a game-breaking type of defenseman, but overall, if you look at their ability to defend versus top line offenses like those provided by Canada and the USA, even Sweden, Finland's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And for their team, as I mentioned, defensively strong, but special teams is going to be an absolute key for them. They're dangerous in the power play, led by Koivu, who's been outstanding on the power play, not only with Frölunda, but with the World Junior Finland team as well. Their penalty kill, traditionally very strong, so not really a worry for the Finnish national team. And, you take a look at them, and they can face any one of these teams, as I mentioned, Canada, Czechia, or Czech Republic, as Roman tells me to say all the time, the U.S., Sweden. They play a tough style of defense. They're physical, as I mentioned, and so they're going to give fits to teams like that. And they do have medal expectations, but there are some questions as far as offense is concerned. If they don't draw enough penalties, then how is the power play going to be able to be as effective as it can be? That's the real question here. If they don't get overly physical, if they don't forecheck strong, if they don't create havoc in the offensive zone and force defenders from the opposition team to take penalties on the wrong side of the puck, as I always say, Finland's going to have a hard time scoring goals because at 5-on-5, they don't really have the firepower to really compete versus the other high-end teams in this tournament. So the bottom line is they're going to be looking at their elite goaltending and defensive play to really backstop them. So look for them to get into a lot of low-scoring battles with whoever they're playing against. Now, 5 players that you need to look at from the Finnish side of things are Petteri Rimpinen, who is a goaltender. I mentioned him right off the cuff. He is the backbone coming back from the 2025 World Junior Hockey Championship. Elite numbers, 9.33 save percentage and a 2.34 goals against average. So he is going to be key to any type of success that Finland has in this tournament. Emil Hemming, who is a forward, is a first-round pick of the Dallas Stars, 29th overall. He's one of their primary offensive threats, and he was also named assistant captain for this 2026 tournament. His scoring ability and leadership are going to be key in this tournament for Finland. There's Aaron Kiviharu, who is the best defenseman and captain of this Finnish squad. Physical, drives play from the back end. He makes a good first pass. He does all the right things on the back end for Finland. Eidos Koivu, who is an elite, polished playmaker and scoring threat. He's especially effective on the power play, as I mentioned, and his shooting ability and ability to generate chances make him a very strong potential difference maker for the Finnish team. And finally, there's Julius Miettinen, a forward, WHL standout. Miettinen breaks speeds, offensive production, and chemistry with teammates like Vahanen. His ability to rack up points and influence pace is going to be key to Finland's success. And of course, when you take a look at Finland, from a Montreal Canadiens perspective, the only prospect that we have on this team, of course, is Eidos Koivu, the son of Canadiens legend Saku Koivu. As I mentioned, a kid that absolutely brings it. He looked good in the rookie camp this year, better than he did the year previous, but overall, you take a look at his game through the first half of the season, and Koivu has developed by leaps and bounds. It's going to be interesting to see what he brings to the table in this tournament. Next up on our assessment is Team Sweden. And Team Sweden, always a perennial favorite to win the World Junior Hockey Championship, although they don't win it as often as they should. They have the top-end talent. They have the defense. They normally have the goaltending. So what's the problem? Well, here are the 5 things you have to look at, the points of interest when it comes to Team Sweden. Number 1, their biggest strength is their high-end forwards like Ivar Stenberg, who is widely regarded to be a top 3 pick in this year's NHL draft. He's Sweden's biggest offensive threat with his strong production in the SHL. They are also anchored up front by 3rd overall Chicago pick Anton Frondell and Victor Eklund of the New York Islanders. Both skilled draft picks capable of generating pace and scoring and creating scoring chances. Lucas Peterson can provide secondary scoring punch, good SHL minutes, so you know he can be out there long term, and he's got a good keen sense around the net. So a big difference between Team Sweden of old and this one is that Some of their guys are not afraid, like Peterson, to get into the dirty areas in front of the net and look for second chance opportunities. That's not normally something that you see from the offense coming from Sweden. Another thing is, while they do have a very high draft ceiling, they do have some inconsistencies. Viggo Bjork is draft eligible, but has some fluctuations in his production. Eddie Genborg brings physicality and offensive instinct, but still developing a little bit more towards pro consistency, because right now he still very much plays at a junior speed level, if you understand what I mean. Jack Berglund also brings physicality and the ability to kill penalties, but his value isn't as a pure scorer. So Berglund is going to be one of those guys that Sweden's going to count on to kill penalties, while on the other end of things, the other guys, as I mentioned, Bjork and Genberg, are going to be looked at to try to bring more to the table than what they did previously, especially to start this season at their respective junior levels. Their defense is very good, but it's not very dynamic, much like Finland's, right, where you don't have that breakout guy on the back end. Some of the guys on the blue line for Sweden who are competent NHL-style players are Sasha Boumedienne, Viggo Gustafsson, Alphonse Frejo, Victor Johansson, and Leo Valenius. But there's no real standout elite guy on the defensive side of things for Sweden. They can move the puck, they can defend their zone, but they really don't bring any scoring punch. And that's going to be one of those things that other teams are going to try to key up on and force the defenders to work the puck more instead of having the forwards cycle it down low, like Sweden likes to do normally. Goaltending, not nearly as good as it has been in previous seasons, with the likes of Love Harrstrom and Herman Liv in goal for Sweden. But there's not much to say about the goaltending in Sweden. It's in a little bit of a flux right now, as it is on the Canadian side of things. In Canada, we always talk about how there's ebbs and flows in goaltending, right? And when you look at the Canadian junior team, you see those ebbs and flows. This year, not so much, because they do have 2 returning goaltenders, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But from the Swedish side of things, they don't really have a lot of experience there. So it's going to be a little difficult to see how their goaltending plays out in this tournament. But at the end of the day, they're going to focus more on their defensive game, mitigating the amount of shots against to be able to give their goaltending a fighting chance to actually win this tournament. And finally, their team identity. The team's fast, the team's goal-oriented, and they're physical, which is what they wanted. In the pre-tournament games that we saw versus Team Canada, you saw a different side of Team Sweden, a team that was much more engaged physically than normally. We've seen over the past couple of years, Sweden try to incorporate a little bit more physicality in their game. But when you look at how they structured their team this year, while they do still have a lot of offensive punch in their forwards, they also picked guys who were a little bit more physical to try to create a little bit more difficulty for Canadian and U.S. defense, who are going to be the stalwarts in this tournament. Overall, their top-end talent is unmatched, right? They're going to be absolutely gangbusters when it comes to their offense. Defensively, good, but not overly offensively inclined. And their goaltending, that's going to be where, that competitive rotation is going to come into play. Now, let's talk about 5 players that are going to make a difference for Sweden. You've got Ivar Stenberg, who is projected to be a top pick in the 2026 NHL draft. He's got speed, elite hockey sense, and goal-scoring ability. And he could single-handedly take over a hockey game, much like Sweden had previously with the likes of Mats Sundin and Peter Forsberg, to name a couple. You've got Anton Frundell, who's another forward, he's a highly skilled winger and also has draft pedigree in that he was picked 3rd overall by the Chicago Blackhawks. Excellent at creating plays, strong in transition, and he provides depth scoring to a team that needs it a lot. You got Victor Eklund, also a guy who's dynamic, versatile up front, where he can play either center or wing. He's got high hockey IQ and is reliable on both special teams, whether it's power play or penalty kill, and he could swing the momentum of a hockey game all on his own with clutch scoring. It's one of the things that's really stood out about his game this year is Eklund actually going out there and scoring goals in key moments that are important to his team. Love Härnström, the goaltender. He's one of Sweden's elite goaltending prospects. He's shown the ability to steal games when he needs to in international play. He's got strong reflexes and composure, which is key for medal rounds. But he, like a lot of young goaltenders, he does have issues with rebound control. So we'll see whether or not that factors in, given the fact that the defense is extremely strong for Sweden. And then you've got Sasha Boumedian. Man, I have trouble pronouncing his name. Their top defenseman on the Swedish side. He's a good puck mover, physical, contributes offensively when he can, and he's really good at stabilizing the blue line in tight games because the Swedish team does play a lot of tight games instead of those wide open style of games that we saw previously. So look for Sweden to be in medal contention, right? The only guy that the Canadiens have on this team as a prospect is Rasmus Bergqvist, a defenseman. The left shot, known more for his defensive play than anything else. Not much as far as top-end talent is concerned when it comes to prospects, but Bergqvist does provide a defensive strength to the Swedish team, which is something that the Canadiens might be looking at in this tournament to see how he provides that and see whether or not he can actually bring that to the Montreal Canadiens further down the road. But when you take a look at Sweden overall, they're a perennial contender. If all goes right for them and they get the solid goaltending they need, that their defense does contribute offensively a little bit and that their offense does continue to score goals, then Sweden could be a contender for gold, maybe silver. But if that doesn't happen, it's going to be a dogfight between Sweden and Finland, I find anyway, as far as bronze is concerned. That's the way I look at it. Now let's take a look at the biggest threat to Team Canada, and that is, as always, Team USA. That's not to take anything away from teams like Slovakia and the Czech Republic, to name a couple, because they are very good hockey teams. But I'm talking about the top 4 programs worldwide at this point, and those are the top 4, including the USA. The USA has been absolutely brilliant at the World Juniors over the past couple of seasons. And because this is hosted in Minnesota, which is the birthplace of hockey in the U.S. and the home of USA Hockey, you know that they're going to put their best foot forward and try to put their best squad on the ice. This team has a championship pedigree, talking about Team USA. They're coming off back-to-back gold medals, so they are the team to beat. It's no longer Canada. While Canada is a contender, the American team has really put their best foot forward. Whether you're looking at it from an overall systems perspective or where you're looking at it from a development perspective, the U.S. has changed their way of looking at the game of hockey over the past decade. You look at their development at the NCAA level, which is by and large their biggest feeder to the National Hockey League. You look at the NAL, which also has a bunch of good, solid junior prospects, as does the USHL, which is the equivalent of the Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League, the OHL, and the WHL in the U.S. So their complete junior structure has changed. And while there still are a few other leagues in the U.S. that are coming along as far as developing players, they're not really at the level that the USHL and the NAL are at this point. Add that to the National Development Program and the NCAA, as I mentioned, and their ability to put together championship teams and draw from a big pool of players is equal to, if not better than that, of Team Canada right now. Their forward group has got a balance of not only experience, but talent. You've got James Higgins of Boston College returning as the leader from last season, and he's capable of anchoring that top line and providing consistent offense. You've got Cole McKinney from Michigan and Will Zellers from the University of Notre Dame, who are huge point producers at the college level and provide scoring depth and versatility to Team USA. And they've got other emerging prospects, including Riker Lee, Henry Brusewicz, who provide depth and balance. And of course, they just recently added Montreal Canadiens prospect LJ Mooney to their roster. Wasn't originally picked to be on the team, but he was a late addition, which is great for LJ. It's going to be a great experience for him. Their decor, solid, but doesn't quite have a superstar like they've had previously. They're well-rounded with NCAA talent with the likes of Logan Hensler from Wisconsin and E.J. Emery from North Dakota, who bring two-way stability on the defensive side of things. Other defenders will contribute significant minutes and penalty kill roles, but the American defense is the one section of that team that is not as talent-heavy as it's been in previous years. Their biggest question mark is goaltending. They've got Brady Noling, who's a big goaltender and draft eligible this year, and Nick Kempf from Notre Dame, who's projected to be the number one goaltender for Team USA. But the competition is still open between the two, so we'll see how that pans out in the beginning of the tournament. And their overall outlook, they're one of the most talked about teams because of the fact they're coming off back-to-back wins. They're hosting the tournament, and they've had their recent successes, and they do have very high expectations. If you look at a lot of the tournament previews, the U.S. is projected to finish second or third behind the likes of Canada and Sweden, but we'll see how that pans out. Now, looking at some of their players who are going to be impact players, you've got Cole Hudson, the brother of Lane Hudson on the Montreal Canadiens, Boston University Capitals prospect. We know what he could bring to the table. He's already played one game at the National Hockey League level and scored his first NHL goal. So he's amongst the most dynamic U.S. Blue Liners, much like his brother. He leads all players in scoring, or he led all players in scoring, I should say, at last year's tournament. I don't see that being any different this year. So look for Cole Hudson to be a stalwart on the back end for Team USA. James Higgins, he's a forward from Boston College and a Bruins 2025 first-round pick, another returning gold medalist and one of the squad's top forwards. He combines a scoring touch with experience and physicality. He's expected to be a top-line contributor and key at driving play at 5-on-5. Then you've got Will Horkoff. The name Horkoff sounds familiar. It is because his father, Sean, was a longtime Edmonton Oiler during those years where the Oilers kept pushing for cups in the early 2000s, wearing number 10 for the Edmonton Oilers back, if I remember correctly. Will is a forward at Michigan, and he's a Pittsburgh Penguins 2025 first-round pick. He exploded offensively this season, which is one of the reasons why he was put on this Team USA team. He brings size and skill and that goal-scoring ability that the U.S. absolutely needs up front. He's going to play a top six role, and he's going to be one of their most important players on the power play. And he's expected to be one of Team USA's most consistent scorers in Minnesota. Then you've got Max Planck, a center from Minnesota Duluth, a Red Wings 2024 second-round pick. His two-way game is the reason why he got picked to this hockey team. You can't always have overly offensive guys on World Junior squads. You need those guys that do all the grunt work, and Planck is one of them. He's got really good stick handling ability, so he's very important when it comes to playing down the middle. He's going to be a shutdown center versus the best forwards on the opposition side. And his position is where Team USA has question marks, that being down the middle. So he's going to be really important when it comes to being able to play and control the middle of the ice. And finally, you've got Teddy Stiga, a forward from Boston College, and another second-round pick in 2024, this time though from the Nashville Predators. He scored the golden goal in the 2025 tournament, winning the gold medal for Team USA, and he provides cut scoring ability and experience, which is going to be very important for Team USA. So overall, Team USA does bring a very good package to the tournament, but can they be as dominant as they were over the last 2 years? That remains to be seen. Finally, we get to the team that we all want to talk about, and that is Team Canada. Team Canada is one of those teams that always has their ups and downs. They're always expected to be in the gold medal conversation, but I don't know whether or not that's going to be the case this year. They are an extremely deep and balanced forward group with the likes of Gavin McKenna to lead the way up front, Porter Martone, Michael Hage, and Michael Misa along the lines of those who are expected to provide a lot of scoring for Canada on the offensive side of things. They've got a very strong defensive core with NHL prospects. Keyshawn Atchison, the top offensive defenseman in the OHL. Zane Parekh, an NHL first rounder who brings a little bit of pro experience. Other defenders like Carson Carrolls, Ben Danforth, Ethan McKenzie, and Cameron Reed. There was a question, though, about why somebody like Bryce Pickford, who just signed, a 3-year entry-level contract with the Canadiens, why he's not at this tournament. One of the reasons why Bryce Pickford isn't there is because he originally wasn't on the invitation list. And second to that, he only started to really explode this season with Medicine Hat. So you got to give a little bit of, forgiveness to Team Canada in not picking Pickford. But he would have been a good choice to be on this team, I think, given what he's been able to do this season in Medicine Hat. Goaltending is absolutely going to be a strength for Canada, with both Ivankovic and George coming back from last year. And they're going to be joined by Joshua Ravensbergen on the back end. So 3 goaltenders for Canada. Look for Ivankovic and George to get the majority of the work, with Ravensbergen being the 3rd string goaltender. Both George and Ivankovic has shown the ability to take heavy loads in this tournament. So it's going to be a dogfight to see who gets the medal round for Canada, which is a good thing for the Canadian side. They do have a lot of experience on Team Canada. And one of the things that they absolutely want is redemption for the last couple of seasons, because they've been very disappointed in how their tournaments have panned out, not only at U20, which is the World Juniors, but also they've had a lot of under 17 and under 18 gold medals. That hasn't translated to success at the World Junior Hockey Championship, and that's what they're looking to do here. Canada finished outside the medals in the last 2 World Juniors, which is not a position that Canada wants to be in. So they're looking to get back with key contributors and look to rebound this season and expect to be in contention for a gold medal this year. And those expectations are going to bring on tournament pressure. They entered the tournament as one of the heavy favorites given the strength of this hockey team. A lot of analysts predict that they're going to return to gold medal status. But the pressure on this team is huge. And we've seen pressure previously crush teams at this tournament. So we'll see whether or not their strength of character is going to be something that we can look forward to. Now, as with the other teams, we're taking a look at 5 players who can make a difference on this team. You've got projected first overall pick Gavin McKenna, who is going to be a leader on this team and anchor the offense for Canada. He combines elite playmaking ability with elite vision and his own ability to score. So he fits right in with the group of forwards that Canada is bringing to the table. Porter Martone is another guy who's a big, powerful, and dynamic winger. A real power forward who's already shown chemistry with McKenna in international events, including the U18 tournaments. So his shot and physicality make him a genuine scoring threat at all strengths: shorthanded, power play, or 5-on-5. Zane Parekh on defense is going to be a massive part of the success of Team Canada. He's projected to be a top 10 NHL draft pick, a high-impact defenseman, a guy who can skate, has good offensive instincts, and is really good on the power play. He's the rare blue liner who can effectively quarterback the power play from the point. We haven't seen that very much from Canada in recent years. Of course, there is Michael Hage, the Montreal Canadiens first-round pick from a couple of years ago. Michael is expected to be that future second-line center for the Montreal Canadiens. He's going to be the second-line center for Team Canada and is expected to generate a lot of offense for the Canadian squad. We'll see how that works out. Whether or not his position on the team changes and he ends up playing up front with both Martone and McKenna remains to be seen, but look for Michael Hage to really bring his A game at this tournament, because it's going to mean a lot moving forward, especially with the way he's played this year for Michigan in the NCAA. And then there is Carter Bear, who is another guy who is a first-round pick of Detroit's and a very impactful forward. Bear is an effective scorer in the in Major Junior, and he is dynamic and brings that dynamic play to the Canadian forward group. He has an ability to adapt to whatever he's asked to do. So whether he's asked to kill penalties or play on the power play, he can do both, and he could be a real X factor for Canada in this tournament. So overall, when you take a look at everything here and all the prospects for Team Canada, you've got LJ Mooney, who's playing for Team USA. You've got Eidos Koivu playing for Team Finland. You've got Carlos Handel, who's playing for Team Germany. Oh my God. Vekavegs, I think his name is the Team Latvia starting goaltender. And you know that Latvia leans on their goaltenders a lot. So watch for him in this tournament. And of course, there is Michael Hage, who is the only prospect that's playing for Team Canada. We'll see how that turns out. But when you look at this tournament overall, and you look at all the teams, whether it's Team Switzerland, Czech Republic, or Czechia, whatever you want to call it, Slovakia, Team Germany, and the four teams that we've looked at here, Sweden, Finland, USA, and Canada, to me, the favorite is clear. Team Canada should come out with a gold medal. But as always, the one thing that you have to watch for is whether or not Canada actually beats themselves. Oftentimes, when they go into tournaments that are high pressure like this one, they tend to get ahead of themselves and try to be too fancy and do too much. Dale Hunter and the coaching staff of the Canadian team, all from the London Knights, need to get this team to simplify their game and not worry too much about playing to the crowd. You know that there's going to be a huge Canadian contingent in Minnesota for this entire tournament, as there will be U.S. The pressure, of course, on the U.S. side to three-peat in this tournament is immense. So whether or not they actually are able to do that remains to be seen. They do have the potential to do it, but the team is nowhere near as strong as it has been in the last couple of seasons for Team USA. So we'll see how that works out. And the other thing here is Sweden and Finland are absolutely, definitely threats to win a medal in this tournament. So there's your top four, with Canada leading the way as far as being on the top of the list for a gold medal. I'm not saying that because I'm Canadian. I'm saying that based on what I see up front, on defense, and in goal. There is a consistency throughout the roster that no other team has, whether it's offense, defense, or in goal. Canada's balanced team is really what other teams have to contend with here. And Canada can either play a defensive style of game against teams that are overpowering offensively, like the U.S. can be, like Sweden and Finland can be, but they can also open it up. And when they open it up, they are among the most dangerous teams in this tournament. So we'll see how it all plays out. It starts tonight. Canada has their first game, always on Boxing Day. I forget who their opponent is today. I always do. I never, ever figure that out. So their first game is today, and it is against, let's see here, Czechia. So, of course, on the Czech side of things, they don't have Juraj Slafkovský. They don't have Filip Mesar. But we'll see how that turns out for Team Czechia. They can also be a very dangerous team in this tournament, and it's going to be important for Canada to start off right. It's not like you usually see with Canada, where they take on a team like a Germany or one of the other lower end teams in their bracket. They're starting off with somebody who's got a little bit of strength, firepower, and is extremely well coached. So tonight, they start with a bang. What is your prediction for Team Canada to start this tournament on Boxing Day? We'll look at it a little bit tomorrow, and I'll come back to talking about the Montreal Canadiens in tomorrow's episode to get everybody set to go for the game on Sunday as well. But overall, guys, always important, this World Junior Hockey Tournament, not only for national pride, but also for all the prospects that are looking to make their mark going either into the draft or starting their NHL careers, like a Michael Hage. Let's see how everything turns out. Bye for now.